Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Winning Picks Weekly. As always, my name is John, joined by my two co-hosts, Greg. What up, Greg?
What's going on, man? Ready to talk a little football?
Yeah, we have a really special episode here. We got our producer, Greg, for our Pac-12 premiere. And as always, we're joined by Chip Murphy, 7, writer for Knicks Fan TV, special guest on the last Knicks episode for Knicks, Jets, etc. Definitely YouTube, Knicks, Jets, etc. Period. Subscribe, like, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're taking. As Greg always says, you guys have been interacting with our Twitter. That's Winning P Weekly. We are posting our daily bets. We're going to get into all that because Greg's been all over the place here, up and down. Now he's sticking to his guns. We got Chip, who was all over the golf game, but now football is back. We're crying over training camp, tweets. We got injuries, week 0, college football right around the corner. I mean, Chip is ready. What's going on, Chip?
I'm very ready. I'm very excited about this episode. I'm more than ready. I can't wait for the Nebraska Northwestern game in Ireland. Very, very excited for that one.
Yeah, man. As always, we scream football's back, football's back, football's back until the first snap of the Hall of Fame game. And we're like, okay, we really need football to be back.
I need real football to be back.
And luckily, college football comes first, week 0, which is my favorite name for anything ever. Week 0 makes no sense. But before we get into all that, I'm not going to give you another call to action. We're going to talk about some daily MLB baseball. Greg, your Mets are back on fire. How you doing, man? How you doing? Last couple episodes, you've been the mush for the daily as soon as you started posting them. So tell us how you been doing and how are the Mets, man?
Dude, I've been doing okay. I got a little wild. I got a little crazy with my bets when I started posting them online. I'm back to my roots. I've kind of been on a little bit of a cold streak, so I'm back. I'm ready to go. I'm betting the Mets. I'm betting the Yankees. That's what got me a huge lead in units as the season went on, and I'm back to doing it. So the Mets have covered 1,000,000 in a row. The problem is I do the parlays with the hits. I had Lindor to get a hit. He got robbed of a home run, like a true robbery. Guy went over the fence and took it away yesterday. So I lost my parlay yesterday, but I'm back with another Mets parlay tonight. Bet the Yankees. John, you pointed out last time the Yankees played the Mariners. If they play, you got to bet the over. So I'm on the Yankees over. And then I think
I need numbers on that because I'm pretty sure it bats 1,000.
Yeah, it's insane. And I got IKF and Judge to get a hit, I think, in that parlay. So both of those are plus 220. I think my Mets is
plus 277.
Yeah, I think Mets is minus 2.5. Canna to get a hit and Alonso to get a hit. I think Canna had a hit in the first inning. So games are still going on. I don't think the Yankees even started because they're on the West Coast.
No.
But other than that, separate from gambling, the Mets are on fire. Everything is going incredible. We swept the Yankees. We took 4 or 5 from the Braves. I mean, there's no one left to conquer besides the Dodgers. So I'm ready for the Dodgers. I think we play them in a couple weeks. Didn't look good last time, but we got the Grom back. Diaz is probably going to win Cy Young because he just lights out. And we're ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll. Everyone keeps talking, the Mets, we'll see you in October, We're ready for October. I don't know if these other teams are ready for October. We're locked and loaded.
Listen, man, I don't think the Dodgers have lost since we sent them Joey Gallo, so you better watch out.
Yeah, you guys might have really screwed us on that one. They might never lose again with the Joey Gallo curse, so we'll see. He's not even playing though, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But
if they're winning, he must not be playing.
Yeah.
Oh man, poor guy, dude. He really hurt our hearts with that article.
Yeah, I felt bad. That was sad.
Yeah, he made us sad about it. But in terms of the Mets owning the Yankees, I mean, we got another series coming. Just chill out. We got another series coming. Let's see how that goes before you start freaking out. I hate that Diaz is a likable character, especially with his trumpets. I love those trumpets.
The whole world has adopted it. It's driving me nuts. It's crazy.
I like it, man. I like the trumpet. I'm down for the Jets to throw that in for their kicker.
We talked about that today. We need some kicker walkout music in the NFL.
That'd be fantastic. I mean, you can't miss a kick with that trumpet music. But as for the Yankees, man, I got my Brian McCann shirt on, obviously, because I'm ready to go here. Apparently, I just have a bunch of catcher's gear. I just realized I'm like a Gary Sanchez blanket in here too. In terms of the Yankees, we're on panic mode right now. Of course, the whole fan base is melting. I think we're fine. I think Montes is going to be fine. I think Sevy is healthy enough. He was mad about going on the IL. He's going to be back. I think Garrett Cole's going to be good to go. I don't really trust Tylon. Our bullpen has to get better, right? I mean, they obviously regressed hardcore from the beginning of this year. I think they're going to be fine as well. Chappie's been looking good. If he could just be our setup man, I'd be really happy about that.
They need one.
Clay Holmes, I think he's going to be fine. King was a tough loss. I'll give you that. But I'm excited for September call-ups. Matt Carpenter getting hurt right now, really tough. But we got Miggy, right? We got Andujar. That's the whole point of having a great farm. We got Rizzo. Don't forget Rizzo's out. Stanton's out. And, like, we're still okay. We're still obviously going to the division. And I still think we're going to have the best record in the league. I know the Astros are tough. But even if we don't, it's not the end of the world, right? The end of the world is we don't have home field against the Astros. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, if that's what it comes down to. So I'm not in panic mode. But speaking of the daily bets, I've gone into panic mode with certain players. I don't take Benintendi anymore. I'm off the Benintendi train.
That was fast.
But today I decided, what the hell? I'll throw him in there just to make everybody happy. Maybe the streak of mine with taking Benintendi will go away. So we got him in there. We got IKF. We got the Judge home run because we're in Seattle and the guy's mashing. We got the DJ hit over 7 and the Yankees -1.5 because Garrett Cole's on the mound and he's gonna get it together today. I know we're versing Castillo, so I'm excited for the matchup, man. I know you guys listening to this have already found out what happened, but I am excited about that. Of course, our picks are live on Twitter, so. If you're on Twitter, you see these hits. I'm telling you with the Mets. Lindor screwed me yesterday. Alonso's screwing us right now. So let's hopefully he gets that hit. And then I got the Blue Jays, and then Gurriel Guerrero and Bo Bichette. That pays nice plus 12,000. I always like to put a nice little $15 here, $10 here, just to get me looking at the scoreboard. But that's talking baseball.
Yeah, again, you're talking about, it's great that you guys are listening. Please like and subscribe. But Winning P Weekly, we tweet out everything as soon as we put it in. So that's where you get it beforehand. So this way you can tail us if you want. You can fade us if you want, or you can just interact with us and let us know what you're taking. So that's where to find us on Twitter.
So that applies for daily MLB. Definitely weekly golf. How's that been going, Chip?
No, I again nothing.
It's football
nothing.
season.
Just no.
Yeah, it's football season.
Yeah.
Okay, deal. So we're moving on. We're done with the golf. Definitely look out for our daily.
Not done with it.
Yeah,
Just...
FedEx Cup. What do you think about that? Right, they blocked all the live guys from participating. That's a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I think the lawsuit finally pushed them to do that. That really pissed them off, but. No, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of good players playing in this tournament. So I saw somebody has like a huge bet on Rory to win like a $15,000 bet or something for Rory to win the St. Jude Classic or something. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But
let's go. Let's go, Rory.
Rory is the favorite. I'm not a fan of Rory as the favorite as much as I'd like to see him win because. Kind of deserves it after what happened at the British, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to bet someone at this tournament. I told you guys earlier, I've been college football all week. I haven't had a chance to look at the golf yet. Not that I would advise anyone to tail my picks right now. So I'll take a look at it eventually, but this is a weird tournament. They've like changed the name. They've changed the courses. It's hard to gauge. I know iron play is a big deal on this course they're playing. So like I've seen a couple people take Justin Thomas. He seems like a good one. He's a great iron player, but he hasn't played well lately. So I don't know. Have to look more into that. We'll see.
All right. And Just a quick note, we got 6 legs of this plus 12,000 parlay looking pretty good, right? We got Vlad with the hit. We got Bichette with the hit. We're just waiting on Alonso here. Lindor got the hit. Thank you, Greg. Mets money line looking good. The -2.5 on that Greg on the Mets money line alternate line for Greg. Not looking too shabby either. So the MLB is looking good. Got some future golf bets here. But as you heard in the beginning, and as Chip just mentioned, football's back. He's all college football right now. And we're going to start with the good old Pac-12. The Pac-12, what people are running away from. All right, we got USC running away. We got UCLA running away, but not for now. For now, they're here. We got ESPN maybe coming to join, right? ESPN and Fox fighting for their rights. And the Winning Pig Weekly boys, we're here to give you a little mini primer on what we think about the Pac-12 and how Bo Nix is the best quarterback in the conference.
I love this because we were talking about beforehand, man. We did NFL last year. We didn't do college football stuff. We got Chip in the mix, who's a college football connoisseur, and I'm ready to get some takes off. I'm ready. We could start with Bo Nix being the best quarterback if you want.
What do you think about that, Chip?
I think we have to start with that.
Sure.
John needs to make his argument on Bo Nix.
Oh man, what's not to love about Bo Nix, man? Killing it in the SEC, throwing touchdowns,
killing it. Is that?
Yeah, when he gets his opportunity, of course.
Well, he got plenty of opportunity.
Well, listen, man. Last year he had to play Georgia, he had to play Alabama, and now he's got the Georgia defensive coordinator as his head coach. Just chilling. And now they're playing the Pac-12, man. They're not playing the SEC anymore. They're playing Arizona. Like we're good to go here. I don't know. Of course I'm being a little bit facetious, but I'm kind of leading you into not my favorite bet, but probably the best odds bet for me, just starting the season off for the Pac-12. And I think that's Oregon at plus 300. I think Oregon plus 300 is not the greatest value. I'll be honest with you. I wish it was more like plus 525 range, right? I'd be a lot more comfortable with it. But plus 300 to win the division, win the conference.
Win the conference, yeah.
Against, I guess the only competition we're really talking about here is USC, Utah, UCLA. I'm just not too worried about those guys. UCLA has better odds, but I just don't love them this year. I feel like they might regress a little from last year, and that's like that's a tank that's on a quarter and it's going down. That's that's looking really bad if you take a step down for UCLA. So Oregon is my favorite to win the conference at plus 300. You can catch that on FanDuel and DraftKings, I believe, at the moment, depending on what state you're in. I think it's on the Barstool Sports app as well. I was looking through that earlier. But Bo Nix, man, I don't know. I think when I have this bias in my brain, when you go from a conference like the SEC and you have a head coach and you have a quarterback and then you bring it to something like the Pac-12, like Oregon, where they're going to be playing mediocre defenses, to me, that is a huge advantage. I don't know if they're going to get it together. Year one, we're all about, especially if you hear us on the NFL, rookie head coaches, rookie quarterbacks, like just stay away from it. But college is just a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? Like Joe Burrow came in, murdered it, without anything. And we always see these kinds of stories, right? Cam Newton or whatever. So I'm riding with Bo Nix. I'm riding with Oregon. Oregon is my Pac-12 team for this year. What do you guys think about that?
Can I give a Bo Nix take? Maybe a hot take, maybe not.
Are you going to give me his stats from last year? Because they're going to be horrific.
No. I don't even need to do that. By the end of the season, maybe by midway through the season, by when do they play UCLA? October 22nd.
Yeah.
he's not the starting quarterback for Oregon anymore. I'm predicting.
Okay, is he gonna win the competition? Because right now they're saying there's a competition.
Right.
I think he'll get that because he has the experience. He's week
junior. 1 is Georgia, so like they're gonna lose week 1. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care.
Oregon fans are clamoring for the backup. Ty Thompson, redshirt freshman, former 5-star recruit. That's who they want to see. And I think if Nick struggles, I think he will get benched because people want to see Thompson. And I think he's a stud and they should see him. And they have, didn't they get Dante Moore? Wasn't that the 5-star quarterback? I think that's who they got, Dante Moore. That's Nike money right there. They got one of the many 5-star quarterbacks coming in. And they're going to want to see Thompson, how he can do before Moore comes in. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if Nix was benched at some point this year. But
he has at least 3 really tough games on his schedule, right?
I was just going to say
Georgia and BYU.
And you make an interesting point about the bad defenses. Like, he plays Arizona,
Washington.
He plays Eastern Washington, but he also plays Georgia and BYU, and that's not going to be. Those aren't going to be easy games.
That's Oregon looking ahead a couple of years ago, like, oh, this is going to be great, and then now, like, oh, damn, we actually had a chance at this conference.
Yeah.
But do you think that? Know. But I, like, not only is it week 1, but it's Georgia. Like, if they lose to Georgia.
And it's the Oregon head coach is the former Dan Lanning is the former defensive coordinator at Georgia.
Like, they could recover from that. I don't think that's
they can recover. And for me, they can recover from that. But can they recover if they lose to BYU week 3?
But that's the thing. I think that BYU is looking at this schedule like, oh man, this is our hard game.
Well, you know BYU's got a tough schedule.
Yeah, they have to go
one
to
of the
Oregon.
Toughest schedules in the country.
In the country.
BYU, they always have a hard
4.
schedule.
I think they have like 4 or 5 really tough games.
Yeah, I know they play Notre Dame too.
Yeah,
they always play Notre Dame.
Oh, we're gonna get into Notre Dame. But
that's for another day. Notre Dame.
No, that's for today.
We're doing Notre Dame today. Really?
I think so.
Yeah, because
Notre Dame's not in the Pac-12.
Well, that's why I think that USC is not really a contender here because they're playing Notre Dame in the last game of the season. And I think Notre Dame is gonna annihilate USC, especially in that game where Notre Dame is going to be fighting for something. I don't know what that something's going to be, but they're going to be fighting for something. And I think they're going to annihilate USC, and it's going to be the last taste in everybody's mouth, right? Where no one's going to remember the September 3rd Labor Day, Oregon Ducks versus Georgia game. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I see it. That's what college is all about, man. College is all about momentum. It's all about what right here, right now.
Yeah, it's storylines, all that stuff. How can you paint the picture? Yeah.
What do you think, Greg? What do you think about Oregon? What do you think about Bo Nix? What do you think about the Pac-12 in general?
I don't like any of it. The Pac-12 I think is all right. I mean, it's great for late night betting and stuff, But I don't like. We'll talk about this as we break down everything. I don't like first year coaches. I don't like first year quarterbacks. I like consistency in college. I think that's a huge thing. I know some teams can strike lightning in a bottle and put it all together. I think that's very hard to do.
Was that Utah?
Yeah.
Last year?
Utah, I don't think.
Is that the lightning in the bottle for the Pac-12 last year? Because they killed it last year, and they, they're always kind of fold.
Yeah, I was talking about like you mentioned like Joe Burrow in his first year. Like that's lightning in a bottle. Like stuff like that where you just come out of nowhere and you're the number 1 quarterback leading the best offense of all time. I like Dan Lanning. I think that, the only problem is he doesn't it takes time. I talked about this last year when I was doing some previews and stuff. It takes time to get your guys. Dan Lanning is good. He doesn't have the Georgia defense. He doesn't have 5 or 6 guys going in the first round in the NFL draft like he did this year. It's going to take him time to build up this program. Do I think he's the right guy for the program, that he could get this Oregon team back to where they were a decade ago? Sure. I think there's a decent shot at it. But with this schedule, I think they return 7 on offense, 7 on defense. That's always good. But again, it's returning players with a new coach, new coordinators, new quarterback. There's already a quarterback competition. Chip's point about Bo Nix might not even be the guy throughout the year. If you're switching quarterbacks midway through the year because of bad play, I don't think that that's a recipe for success, whether it's the win total over or whether it's winning the conference. Utah, to your point, I think they switched their quarterback week 2 last year, week 3, and then they never looked back.
Worked out.
Rising.
Yeah. Worked out.
I was literally going to say
He was
that.
scoring 40 points a week, I think, once he started. So that's the type of stuff if you switch early. But I think with Oregon, because Bo Nix has experience, I think there's a shot that he starts out the season. But again, the first 3 games, neutral site, I think, versus Georgia, Eastern Washington at home, BYU at home. If they start out 1-2, to Chip's point, they're going to be clamoring for their guy that they brought in, their guy they're bringing up through the program. So I could see it being a tough season. That's why I also don't like USC personally too.
What if they're 2-1? Do you think if they ride out here 2-1, is the conference really just November 19th versus Utah?
No, I think UCLA is a tough game. I really like UCLA. I like what Chip Kelly's doing. I think that they had a much improved season last year. I think that Chip Kelly kind of stripped away his whole shtick that he did at Oregon and the Eagles over the last few years at UCLA. They run the ball. They, I think, play pretty well. I love their jerseys. I think that plays a factor in college. I don't know if it does or not, but I think phenomenal.
Oregon, baby.
Yeah,
Nike.
Oregon too. But and this is again the stability. I think it's his 5th year there at UCLA. So I think UCLA is going to be a tough game in October for them. I know they have them at home, which is a nice break for them. But then Utah again. The good thing about Oregon and what sets them up for success is the hard games that they play, for the most part, except for Georgia, are all at home. So
Georgia's neutral.
Yeah, right. So Georgia's neutral, and then other than that, BYU, UCLA, Utah, all at home.
Amazing.
So that would be my case if I was making a case for them to.
And it's in Oregon.
Have a great season.
They normally have a good home field.
Yeah. No, I think that I agree with that.
So you like UCLA like plus 950, I think it is right now? I think that's a good bet too. I think I might sprinkle on that as well.
For value, I think I would, just in case Oregon and USC don't get it together quickly. I mean, USC was such a collapse last year that I don't know.
I'm wondering if this whole USC to UCLA moving, you think that has any effect on anything?
I don't think so. I think these guys are so locked in right now. It's all about winning week 1, then it's all about winning week 2. I don't think they're worried about.
Can I tinfoil hat? Could I really quick tinfoil hat?
Sure.
I think both of those teams are going to have really tough calls from the refs this year. Just like I really think so, because everything's affected.
To look out for.
Everything is affected by them leaving.
Sure.
Like even the refs, everybody's affected. So I just think that when you're hated, man, and you're just hated franchise, think about the NBA, think about the NFL, things just go right for you or go wrong for you. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be malicious, but I just think if it's a 50-50 call, I just think they're going to get screwed a couple times this year. I could just see the narrative. But again, that's just me making it up, tinfoil hat completely, not based on, anything real. Just
one last thing about Oregon before we move on. I had the wrong page up. I just don't think, passing yards per game last year, they're 100th in the country. They have to improve this defense. Yes, they brought in the Georgia's defensive coordinator to help with that defense. I just don't know if he can do it right away. That's my only thing. You're working with other people's guys. You're not recruiting your class for another 2-3 years. Yes, the transfer portal helps, so you were able to bring in some people. Because I think they got a couple transfers in, but they also had a couple transfers out. So maybe net neutral there.
Here's the thing: if they beat Georgia week 1,
all bets are off then. Yeah, but
it's all over.
Massive.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If Georgia's sleeping and this coach is it's literally the Super Bowl, we've seen that happen with Rex Ryan, right? And this is it, and he somehow wins. The whole season is flipped on its head. But let's jump to USC real quick because we mentioned them a bunch of times. I know that's Chip's team going into the Pac-12. So Chip, do you want to give us a little USC take?
USC? Yeah.
You have them winning the conference, right?
I do have them winning the conference. Right after Lincoln Riley got hired, I immediately put some money on them to win the national championship just to be like, just as a long shot thing. Now, he's never won the meaningful game, the national championship. So I don't expect them to win, but I did put money on them to win the Pac-12. It's crazy to me how
they're favorites. Dude.
They've become the favorites now, and how they have a higher win total than Utah. So I'm taking the over 9.5 on SC. Lincoln Riley hit the over every year at Oklahoma. I think he's going to do it again. Take out the COVID shortened season in 2020.
Nice stat.
He won double-digit games. Yeah, he won double-digit regular season wins every single year at Oklahoma, except obviously he won 9 games the COVID shortened year. But yeah, obviously the offense is completely loaded. You have Williams is a stud. You have Travis Dye, who they brought in from Oregon.
Breaking out the magazine. I love it.
I got it right here, so I might as well.
I love it. I love it. That's why we're here.
Yeah. And then Jerry Rice's kid, too. Brendan Rice, who I think is going to be really good. They basically just...
Speaking of Rice, are they going to cover plus 30 week 1 versus Rice?
I'm not ready to go there. I don't know if they're
yes,
going to... I don't know if
they will, John. Yes, they will.
I'm ready to take Rice.
Rice is one of the worst programs in college football history. So I wouldn't take Rice.
Give me the 30, baby. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Chip, about your point about so many people transferring in, Lincoln Riley obviously bringing his quarterback over from Oklahoma, Caleb Williams. Do you have any concern at all about this just kind of being like, I don't know, I guess the Rams did it last year in the NFL with just having superstars everywhere. Do you have any concern with like cohesion, consistency, getting your systems implemented?
A little bit.
Or just big personalities all over the place. USC, it's gorgeous out. You know,
for sure there's
NIL money's running all over the place.
For sure, there's a little concern about that. I just think if he were less established, I would be if he were like a first year head coach, I'd be much more concerned about that.
Yeah, or he had a good run as a coach at a lower program, but
but he's really established himself, and all these high school coaches know him, and all these high school players know him because he's been recruiting them for years. He's been recruiting 5-star players, and he also has pipeline. He's been recruiting players from California to Oklahoma, whether he's been getting them or not. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, and so they all know him. I don't know. I'm not super worried about that. I look at the schedule, and you guys had a lot different definition over what a winnable game was going to be for SC than I did. Greg, me and you are completely different on UCLA. I think we'll talk about UCLA later, maybe. At Utah is, in my opinion, probably the biggest Pac-12 game of the season. October 15th, SC at Utah. That's obviously massive. I'm not Greg, you were talking earlier about first-time head coaches. So Notre Dame, first-time head coach. It's at SC. I'm not super high on Notre Dame. Their defense is going to be really good again, but first-time head coach and a quarterback who's barely ever played. Not super high on ND. I believe their win total is 8.5. I'm not confident enough in them to take the over for sure. SC's they have obviously they got
UCLA and then Notre Dame back to back.
Yeah,
I know they're
I don't think UCLA is going to be very.
He doesn't like either of those teams, so he's kind of.
I'm just saying. You don't think. I know you don't like them, but you don't. You're not worried about USC, man, against UCLA. Like, forget UCLA.
Well, it's at UCLA, but it's also I like the idea of the revenge game too, because they got whooped by UCLA last year. They hung 60 on them, so I think it's also a revenge thing for SC. I think they're going to come out. They want to win that game as much as they want to win any other game on the schedule. Like, that's not UCLA football, that's not something that happens. SC doesn't lose to UCLA in football. That was like the most embarrassing moment of the season for sure. For them to get not only lose to SC, but not only lose to UCLA, but to get embarrassed by them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I get it, Chip. So you got 12 games on the schedule. Your over-under's 9.5, so you're allowing yourself 2 losses. And you're looking at the schedule, and you're saying Utah, maybe that's a coin flip game. They could win, they could lose. Other than that, you feel pretty confident about the rest of the games.
I'm pretty confident, to be honest. Like I said, not high in UCLA. I think last year was a bit of an aberration. Notre Dame, I get Notre Dame's going to be good. I don't know. I'm looking up and down at the rest of the schedule. You mentioned Greg, you mentioned like it could take time to gel. So maybe they get upset at some point. Maybe I think Oregon State could be good. Like they go on the road to Oregon State and lose, or
I think at Stanford's kind of tough. Fresno State was pretty good. I was just going to say because they play Stanford week 2. And that Stanford's famously a team that pulls off upsets too. They're kind of like Purdue, so I could see Stanford knocking them off. But no, I don't think their schedule is super hard. I like the over 9.5.
So I think me and Greg are in unison on this under 9.5 here. And you kind of mentioned at the top here, Chip, we have different definitions of winnable games. And it's because, 3 games for USC is too small of a buffer. Like, I love that under. We kind of mentioned the Notre Dame at the end there a couple times already today, so we won't have to go into that.
It's going to be a popular under, I feel like.
Okay.
Because people are – don't you think? Because people are going to think the same way as you guys. I feel like a lot of people are going to think the same as you. Like, wow, that under's only up there because, it's USC and it's Lincoln Riley and the hype's there.
Well, they're the favorites.
Disagree
they're the favorites to win the conference.
But they didn't start as the favorites. Utah opened as the favorite.
Yeah, I think I disagree a little bit because I think Vegas is looking at it saying like, oh my God, so many people are going to bet on USC, so let's move everything up to kind of hedge and get some more value with it. Mm-hmm. So I think they're expecting a lot of people to bet the over on USC.
That's what
bet conference winner USC,
especially because they're moving. Like they have the boost right now. Like they're so good that they're gonna move to the next conference. Like UCLA is so good that they're leaving.
They're plus 170 to win the Pac-12. I don't think that's a worthwhile bet. Even that the better bet to me is
on the 9.5.
No. Well, not the good one, but the better bet to me is to bet them to make the playoff. Yeah, which is plus 425. Ooh. And plus 400.
If they win the conference, do they get the play-in? I guess that's the question.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But if they beat Notre Dame,
depends
that
on how good
eliminates them. Right? At least that gets one person out of the picture.
They've only had 2 teams ever make it, I think, to the playoff or whatever for football. So
they can't lose more than 1 game.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's if you lose 2 games, I think you're out.
They have to beat Utah. They have to beat Utah. I think Utah and SC both have a chance to get in.
Yeah, I agree.
The 2 best Pac-12 futures are not to win. I think it's for Utah and SC to get into the playoff because that's the DraftKings. I think DraftKings is the only one that has that.
What's Utah to get into the playoffs?
I think
all right, while you find that
400-ish around there too.
Yeah, I think Utah's plus 400 and SC's plus 400, sorry. And Utah's plus 425 to make the playoff. So both of those I think I would rather bet both of those than bet to win the conference just because it's probably more fun in my opinion to watch that happen.
That's fair. I mean, talk about fun. This October 15th game at Utah is going to be sick.
Oh my God, that's going to be awesome.
I'm going to be in Wisconsin. I'm going to check if Wisconsin has a game. I'm being Green Bay. Yo, Greg, you got some thoughts on Utah?
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on Utah. But before we move on, I don't know if we talked about it enough, but USC is going to be my under for the season, 9.5. Yeah. I think we're both in that. Mm-hmm. To Chip's point, about the winnable games. I think Stanford's tough week 2. At Stanford's tough. I think Fresno State, if I remember correctly, had a great season last year. I don't know how many people are returning.
They did. They were good.
Yeah, so at Oregon State, I think Chip pointed that out. I think that could be a little bit of a tough game. So you're starting out the season with 3 tough games out of 4, 2 of them on the road. If you're not all together, you don't have your P's and Q's in order, it could be a problem. The good thing with USC, Lincoln Riley, and everything is chances are that's all taken care of. So you're kind of betting on that, in my opinion. So that's why I'm going with the under. Notre Dame, I agree. I don't think like they're ranked really high. Everyone has these high expectations for them. I don't see it this year, but I do like UCLA. So that's why I'm going with the under for USC. For the over, I'm going Utah. I love this Cameron Raisin guy. I think he's got enough pieces around him to have a good season. He's 2 of the top tight ends in the league. He has 2 good running backs in his backfield. Offensive line's a little weak. But I think in college football, you can make up with that with scheme and stability if everyone stays healthy. Wide receivers aren't that great, but that still didn't stop them from scoring. I think, like I said, 40 points a game since Rising took over last season when he was a full-time quarterback starting week 3. They were explosive, man, and I don't expect that from Utah. I expect from Utah hard-nosed defense, running the football, win like 13-3 type games and stuff, and they completely flipped it on its head over the last few years, especially last year. So I like Utah. Looking at their schedule, their over-under is 9, not 9.5, so I like that.
It's a pretty easy over, I think.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the schedule is not too bad. The big one, really, what I like about this is, like, I think it's 240 for their over. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, that's for to win the conference. But for their over, to me, kind of comes down to week 1 at Florida. If there's any time you want to play Florida, it's not week 1 when it's going to be so hot. It's going to be disgusting. So that kind of
7 p.m. though.
Yeah, that's true. Later game, it definitely helps. Still Florida, the swamp, it's going to be disgusting.
Yeah, but Kyle Whittingham, give me Kyle Whittingham over Billy Napier in his first game at Florida with all that pressure on him. I'll take Kyle Whittingham.
And that goes back to my thing about stability, Chip. 18th year for Kyle Whittingham, first year for Napier in Florida. Florida had a really bad season last year. I think their coach got fired mid-season. Defense was much improved. Team was much improved, Florida was, after they fired their coach last year. I think the stat that I saw is they gave up 175 points in the first 4 or 5 games of the season. They played some really good teams. It was crazy. And then the rest of the season, they gave up 174 points. So much improved defense. A lot of young guys on Florida, so they're coming back. They're probably going to be more improved, but Utah has a lot of returning people, 8 people on offense, 6 people on defense. The big defensive person, I mean, if you follow us online, we talked about Devin Lloyd all offseason leading up to this draft. Big linebacker, played amazing for them. I think had a pick in the Pac-12, pick 6 in the Pac-12 conference game last year. He's incredible. So their weakest point on defense is probably the linebacker core. I think their DBs and safeties are okay, but they got 2 transfers in using the transfer portal for the linebacker position. So there's a shot they're pretty good there. Solid offense, solid defense. Plus 250, plus 240 to win the conference. I like that. Looking at their schedule again, the over-under is 9. Florida, week 1, that's tough. After that, the next really tough game that I see is at UCLA. Maybe you can make a case for at Arizona State, but I don't think Arizona State's going to be very good. And then you go all the way down the schedule. At UCLA is October 8th. USC, October 15th. To Chip's point, when we were talking about USC, that's going to be, or John's point, that's probably going to be the game of the Pac-12 of the season. That's going to be incredible. They got that at home. I'm happy about that.
But they're at Oregon, though.
And then again, at Oregon in November.
Those 2 games, I mean, are I think the highlights of the Pac-12 in general. They need to. The Pac-12 is in a is in a tizzy right now.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
need those games to be memorable
Yeah.
games.
like,
SC,
and they also
SC,
need
yeah.
you. Like they need a team in the playoffs. I'm totally with you guys on this. Take a team to win to get into the playoffs rather than to win the conference because you know they're going to reward them. Like everybody sees what's going on to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 commissioner today like came out and was talking trash about the Big 12. Like things are getting chippy out here. No offense, Chip.
Hey.
I wonder if Utah could sneak in here, man.
I think
I know
so.
I have Oregon, but I really do think Utah could sneak in. Their games aren't that tough. Like at the Gators week 1,
Well,
the
you can
USC
bet
game,
Oregon
and
to
then
win the conference and take Utah to make the playoff. I mean,
no, I know.
package with that, yeah.
I'm with that. I'm with that.
No.
I like Utah. I could sprinkle on both. You know what I mean? Because they're
Mhm.
both plus money at the moment. I'm not like dead set on Oregon. Like I'm gonna put my head through a wall. If it's them or nothing. I just don't like USC and I don't like UCLA. And my issue with Utah is they've never done it. They've never done what they did last year.
It's true.
So are they going to repeat? Like, I'm happy that they're no longer the favorites because when they were the favorites, I was definitely not taking them. Now that USC is the favorite, maybe Oregon's moving up a little. It's easier for me to take Utah, but I definitely like the over. I like that over because I could see Utah playing Oregon in the championship game here, right? Or like in do they have what's the Pac-12 conference bowl game? Does
Rose
it
Bowl?
change every year? Is it the Rose Bowl?
I think so.
Yeah, Pac-12's Rose Bowl against Big Ten.
So that I mean like if
Utah against Ohio State last year.
Yep.
I could see
It's a
Utah.
thriller.
I could
An
see
amazing
Utah
game.
I could see Utah being a really fun pick there, and if they win that, like I can see them making some noise out here for the Pac-12, holding them on their shoulders. I still like Oregon. I do like that they're bringing the SEC boys into the Pac-12. I do think that makes a difference, even
Yeah.
in 1 year.
Yeah.
And playing at Oregon's tough. They have a really nice home schedule. Basically, their hardest games are at home. So if they can get through Georgia, they can get through BYU. I like it, but just on a solid football stance, I like all Greg's points. And they got Rising, dude. Like Rising is a beast. You know what I mean? Forget Bo
That's
Nix for a
good.
second. Like Rising is a monster.
Yeah, John, the reason, too, about your point about being repeatable for Utah, can they do it again this year? The reason why I think they can is because Rising's not one of this guy that's throwing for 500 yards a game and 5 touchdowns. They're just methodical in the way they move down the field. They rely on their tight ends. They have 2 great tight ends. I'm blanking on their name right now just because I'm not that into it right now at this point. But they're both really good. They both could have went, I think, in the draft this year, but they both decided to stay back and run it back one more year. And they're running back and they're rushing.
Take on Thomas the Beast.
Yeah, so I think that they're gonna play.
He might be the first running back pick next year.
Yeah, there's
He could
definitely.
be. He's gonna be top 5 running back pick next year, 100%. Tavion Thomas.
Yeah, there's that dude in Minnesota. There's that dude in Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm just saying he's an absolute monster last year.
yeah. So for value wise, though, to your guys' point, I kind of like. I might be crazy. I like Utah as a national championship at plus 6,000. Because I think if they make it, like we saw last year with Ohio State, they went toe to toe with Ohio State. They both scored 40 something points in that Rose Bowl. I think if they're in it, they can compete with anyone. So at plus 6,000, I think it's great value. To your point, Chip, about plus 400 to make it to the or the playoffs or whatever. I'd rather take plus 6,000, hope they win the first game, and then just hedge it out in the
And then you got plus
championship.
6,000.
Yeah, so you have a lot more juice to play with.
That's fair. I mean, if Utah is there, it's plus 6,000. I mean, for God's sakes, the Jets to win the Super Bowl is plus 7,000. I mean,
Yeah, that's
those
much more harder to do.
yeah,
Than
like
Utah
that's a
win a
completely different
championship.
ball game, right?
Even
Like
though
what
we
are
all
we
know
talking
Alabama's going to win it, but
Yeah,
no, that's here
Utah.
nor there.
Well, I think Ohio State has a shot.
Okay, all right.
Ooh, you
All
hear that,
right, I'm ready
Raisi?
for that. Heisman winner though, just throw Rising. I'd throw a little bit on him. I depends on where you find him too. This is another great thing when we start talking about these national championship Heisman contenders. We talk about a lot with golf. We talk about with everything. Really shop your lines. I see anywhere from plus 6,600 to plus 10,000 depending on the sports book. So find a good line on Rising. Throw $20 on him. He's not going to throw for, like I said, I don't think he's going to throw for 5,000 yards this year, or anything crazy. He's not going to have like 40 touchdowns or 50 touchdowns, whatever Joe Burrow did. But I think he uses his legs. He has the look of a prototypical quarterback. He's big, he's strong, he can run. I think he had 500 yards rushing last year in a limited season. He didn't start right away, so throw a little bit on him, especially if they make a big run. He's going to be the talk of the town, so those are my two kind of longer odds picks for the Pac-12.
Rising to win the Heisman.
Yeah, if you can find it,
Yeah.
plus 8,000, plus 9,000.
Yeah, that's a good one. I haven't seen him. Surprisingly, haven't seen him a lot. Take him.
Yeah, just because I don't think he puts up crazy numbers.
I mean, he had 20 touchdowns and 5 interceptions last year, right?
Yeah.
I hesitate to put any money on the Heisman just because I'd be so surprised if it wasn't Young or Stroud.
Yeah.
Both those, I feel like both those, or I mean, Anderson at Bam, Will Anderson for Bama now is a popular one.
I mean, because you can't trick them, right? Because with the Heisman stuff, they know what teams you're playing, right? Like they know that Utah has an easy schedule, right? It's not like.
But if
Stroud is
Rising,
playing.
if Utah is one of the if Utah, when the college football playoff rankings come out and Utah's ranked in the top 4 and they're undefeated, then Rising for sure has a shot at it. He just needs to put up better numbers than Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, which I just don't see that happening. But
yeah,
That's
like
fair.
last 4 games of the season last year, John, 178 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 179 for 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 170 for 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 214 for 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Like that's not going to get it done on the Heisman watch. You're going to have to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. I mean, these
CJ
guys.
Stroud does that in a half.
Yeah,
in a
Stroud,
quarter.
Young, all these guys that are going to be up there are going to be throwing. Like we talk about it every season, John, Alabama first half, to your point, Chip, those are Alabama first half numbers. Like they're going to be lighting it up. So he's got to improve in that stuff. But to Chip's point, if they're undefeated, they're ranked top 5, he's having a good season, limiting on the interceptions and playing well, I think there's a shot. It's a long shot, to your point, Chip. I don't know if anyone besides the favorites are going to win. But if you're a betting man like I am, throw 10, 15, $20 on it. Hope for the best.
Yeah, it happens. Devontae Smith with Bama.
True.
No one saw that one coming.
True.
Yeah.
What else do we got for picks, boys? John, do you have an over that you like for win total?
I like Utah's over for obviously all the points you've been talking about, but because their schedule is easy, right? I'm not a big fan of the Oregon over, even though obviously they need it to win the conference.
Right.
I just think it's a little. I mean, there's just no value to it. You know what I mean? Like there's just no. Oregon could easily lose those 3 games, right? I'm not going to be completely shocked if they lose three ball games. You know what I mean? Especially when one of them is Utah, another one is USC. You know what I mean? They got smacked around last year by Utah, right? So that that's what gives me hesitation. They got smacked by them. However, they do have good players, man. Like Noah Sewell is a beast, dude. He might you might hear me screaming very, very soon about how we need to draft Noah Sewell when he comes out. Like because he's a monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then we're gonna be talking about but who does he play? He's in the Pac-12. We don't know. I just think this Georgia defense is the Georgia scheme is coming to Oregon. I know necessarily the players might not be there completely, but dude, just the prospect of having a defense in the Pac-12 that excites me. So I'm gonna stick with the Utah over. I might sprinkle on them to win the conference. I'm taking the USC under like you, which scares me that we're kind of rolling with each other here. But I mean, Utah won last year. It's not like we're doing anything crazy here. This is what should happen. I also want to take the under on Cal, but I'm kind of pushing it there. They just stink so much. Watching Cal last year, watching Colorado, those are kind of like my bottom barrel teams.
Yeah, Colorado is a big time
I like
public
I like
play.
the unders. I like the unders in this conference more than I like overs, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of overs that
Do
I
you guys
like.
have thoughts about those programs or Arizona State here? I know we mentioned Oregon State at home a little bit. Do you guys have any thoughts on any kind of the bottom barrel teams before we finish up this Pac-12?
Arizona State under for sure. Love Herm Edwards. Love him, but he is a dead man walking. Couldn't get any recruits to go to Arizona. Everybody knows he's leaving. 17 players entered the transfer portal. All of the recruiting violations he had to either his assistant coaches got fired, 2 assistant coaches got fired, 3 resigned. It's a complete disaster there. The total's 6.5 because I think they still have a little bit of talent on the roster, and they did win 8 games last year. But I think he could be gone by. They got Washington on October 8th. I think he could be gone by then. And they open up against Northern Arizona, which is a win. But then they got at Oklahoma State, so they're going to lose that. Eastern Michigan should be a win. Then they have Utah at home, at SC, and then Washington. So that's 3 straight losses possibly. And then at Stanford. So it's a tough schedule. And I think Herm Edwards is a prime candidate for maybe the number 1 candidate in college football to be fired during the season. I think they're a great candidate for an under. And I think, Greg, you brought up earlier in the show, or maybe it was before we came on, Arizona.
Yeah.
And I think Arizona won 1 game last year.
Yep.
And it was against a Cal team that was missing like 25 players because of COVID. I know you said Colorado's a popular under pick. Arizona should be a popular under pick. I think they are. Is it under 2.5 or under 3? It's
3.
Arizona.
I'm saying.
Yeah, it's 3 on DraftKings, 2.5 on FanDuel.
It's tough.
Honestly, I'd take under on both of those.
Yeah, I think they're only favored preseason. They're only favored in 1 game, and that's Colorado, the other team that's 2.5, 3 for the win total.
I would. Yeah,
Colorado's at 3.5 on FanDuel.
Arizona lost to an FCS team last year. Oh, is it 3.5 on FanDuel? Oh,
and Cal is 5.5. That's why Cal was my number. I couldn't believe Cal was 5.5.
I didn't look at Cal too much, but I know they're not expected to be very good.
I just watched them a lot last year, and it was horrific, man. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. And by the way, Arizona also ridiculous out of conference schedule. They open up against San Diego State, who crushed them last year.
Love that one. Love that team.
Then Mississippi State, who I think is going to be really good this year.
Yeah.
And Mike Leach could light them up.
Can I call time
North
out?
Dakota. Go ahead.
Can I call time out because you guys just mentioned SDSU?
Love them.
I was gonna mention that Utah's playing SDSU. Do you guys care about that? Week 3.
I think it's different. Utah playing them than Arizona playing them.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it at home?
Too, and I kind of passed over. I was like, no, I don't want to sound.
It's like, going to be a
hard game. Isn't that one of their losses last year? Utah, or am I making that up?
San Diego State won. Didn't San Diego State win like 11 games last year or something?
Yeah, I love them.
They were
last
good.
Year.
I think they lost a lot.
Utah lost San Diego State for week 1. They lost by 2, 33-31.
They were really good. I think they lost a lot, though. They had a lot of guys graduate.
Utah loses to SDSU.
They're not going to lose to them back-to-back years, I don't think. Are they at home? Are they at home this year in that game?
Utah's home.
Utah's
they're 22
I like
favorites.
I like Utah in that one. San Diego State's expected to take a step back this year. They did lose guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love them last year though, but yeah,
they're like they were really good last
program.
year.
There's teams like that every year.
I'm just letting you know right now. As soon as it comes out, I'm taking Oregon spread versus Utah. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead.
Good. I mean, I'm not as high on Oregon as you are, but
No,
yeah,
listen, you just brought up SDSU, so it just brought me back for a second. I'm sorry to go back there.
is the no. I seriously that the win total for Arizona is 3.5.
It's a 2.5 on FanDuel.
Oh, 2.5 on FanDuel. Okay, yeah.
Arizona State's 5.5.
It's
I was gonna say-
Colorado's 3.5. That's what John was saying.
Yeah.
Oh, Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another under pick, by the way.
So
They
it goes
lost. They
Arizona's
lost even
2.5,
more. Colorado
Arizona's
lost
2.5. Colorado's 3.5. Cal and Arizona State are 5.5.
Cal. I'm taking under Arizona, Colorado, and Arizona State, and UCLA. I think I talked about UCLA before too.
Yeah.
I think Colorado.
UCLA 8.5.
Colorado had 22 players transfer, including 6 starters, and the coach had to replace 6 of his 10 full-time assistants.
Yeah, it's
They
minus
lost
170.
Yeah, they are definitely expected to be awful. I'm
really annoyed that I can't parlay over unders.
Yeah.
That's the most annoying thing ever. Like,
wow, I would actually love that. Okay.
I don't get why you can't do that.
Does anyone have any final thoughts on the Pac-12? Greg, what do you got?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we talked about pretty much every team. I think Stanford's going to put more of a fight than they did last year, but I don't know about 5.5. Washington State, I think, has a chance to surprise some people, but again, I don't feel too confident in them. Oregon State, kind of same thing. And then we talked about the rest. The only team we didn't talk about too much is Washington. I kind of think rightfully so. They're kind of
yeah, I didn't have too much to say about them.
Yeah.
The only team I was going to talk about was Washington State because they just are so freaking interesting because of Cameron Ward.
Yeah.
I just think they could surprise a lot of people. He could come in and be an absolute star. And I think I'm even going to take the over on them just on the outside chance that he is.
Yeah, I mean, the over-under is 5.5. I think they had 7 wins last year. So, again, it's first-year coach, a lot of transfers and stuff like that you have to bank on.
He did a great job as the interim last year.
Yeah.
They were a good story. Yeah,
that's true. And that's a big difference, too, with the interim if you get a couple of shots right. Like, I don't think we were talking about, was it Napier in Florida? He wasn't the interim coach last year, right?
No, he was with Louisiana. He was in the Sun Belt last year.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, the U got rid of their chain, so we'll get to the ACC.
Pumped for that.
Very
excited. Very
time
excited
to
for
get to
that.
I think next week we'll do Big Ten.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Big Ten, maybe one other. Maybe we'll double up.
All right. And that's it for this week's episode of Winning P Weekly. You know what it is. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button to our YouTube at Knicks, Jets, etc. Period. Nobody spells it out. That's just crazy. Check out our Twitter at Winning P Weekly for our daily bets as soon as we drop them. We'll be dropping our futures, I'm sure, through the Twitter as well. Let us know what you think about the Pac-12. Let us know how you want us to improve for the upcoming Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, and then of course, we can get to the NFL divisions too. So it's all coming in hot. We'll be keeping you up to date with what we're taking here. Does anyone have anything else to add?
No, we'll see you next week for some more football because football is officially back.
All right, let's go Utes and let's go Ducks, right?
Maybe a little Trojans in there too for Chip. We'll see.
Yeah, I wasn't going to add it in there because I'm very confident, but
Ooh.
yeah.
Yo,
I'm very confident in Caleb Williams.
I've never been to a real college football game, and I'm going to go to USC Notre Dame, and I'm so hyped that now we have this going on now. I'm so happy because if it's coming down to it and I'm there to watch USC lose to Notre Dame, I'm going to be the happiest.